Welcome to ABL Hot Corner, the show that brings you all the good stuff around the Australian Baseball League. I'm Forest Kilpatrick, with me is Jamie Jenga Cloden, and to kick things off, Jenga, you had the pleasure of seeing the casting eye over the greatest series this week. We had Canberra Cavalry versus the Brisbane Bandits. What went down? I did
watch that, the top of the table clash, and basically the huge offense of the Cavalry pitted themselves against the all-round play so far of the Bandits in the nation's capital. Friday night start of the series, and it was the boys from Brisbane that jumped out the gates early. Game one, they went home with the chocolates 3-2. So all the scoring went on early. A walk and then most of the scoring. A walk and then a 2-run home run by Mitch Nielsen in the first inning saw Brian Grenning actually give up a couple runs for a change.
Couldn't believe it. He's human.
He showed that he is human after all. Whereas on the other side of the diamond, Rick Teasley, he was able to keep the runs from flowing over 5 innings. So he handed it over to the bullpen then. Ernesto Zaragoza. He was given the pill, but then allowed Canberra to add to yet another home run to their total. Brian Pounds, indeed, did that. Yes,
yeah, fantastic.
Wasn't enough, however, though. Each team got one more run, and Ryan Searle came in and sorted it out as he's been doing all year.
The close guy got it done again.
Yep. So he sorted out the night. 3-2 to Brisbane. Game 2, early runs again. This time it was Wade Corpy, the Canberra starter, that gave it up. He gave up 8 runs in the first 3 innings.
Wow.
So he really struggled. He did. Yep. He did. There was a bit of everything too. There was walks, there was bunts, infield singles, homers, doubles, everything. So with Mitch Nielsen, he was the one getting in on it with another long ball.
Ever since I wore the Mitch Nielsen top the other week, that he's been going all right.
He's going deep. He is. He's got a couple, well, 2 already in the first 2 games of this series.
Beautiful.
The Cavs did get back into it with Jack Murphy back in the fray and Cord Saarberg as well, both getting homers, but yeah, it wasn't enough. It was their first long balls of the year, both of them, but it just wasn't enough, and Brisbane went for their 2nd win in a row to start the series.
Looking pretty good early.
It was. Then I think the real Cavalry turned up to play. Game 3 was a little bit of a different story. Canberra just took a hold of it straight away, and Stephen Kent.
What was going on there?
My Lord.
He was just whiffing guys all over the shop.
He was. Well, he finished up 13 strikeouts from 7 innings.
Unbelievable.
2 hits, nothing else, not a walk.
Yeah.
No, absolutely did not give him a sniff.
Lights out performance, because he's been pretty good, but that was just out of the box, wasn't it?
You're right, pretty good, but not outstanding.
Yeah.
This was outstanding. He just dominated, and when you've got Jeremy Barnes, he got a couple hits. Jason Lebejean.
Oh, my man.
I've been practicing.
Lebejean.
That's him. And then Boss Monaroa, they also got multi-hit games, so combine that along with a 13 strikeout performance.
Yeah, you're not going to lose too many, are you?
There's 7-0 right there.
Yep.
And game 4, Josh Warner got the start. Now he, for Brisbane that is, sorry. Now last week he was very, very good. We mentioned him in the pitcher's duel against Edwin Carl with Perth. But just was unable to repeat the performance again this week. He had struggled early, and after 2 innings, well, Colton Turner on the hill for Canberra, the 2 of them both struggled actually, and it was 4-4 after 2 innings.
Okay.
So it looked like it was going to be a huge slugfest, but things straightened themselves out. 3 more runs for the whole rest of the game. That was all that was scored. So unfortunately for the Bandits though, those 3 hits all went to Canberra. 3 runs, sorry, all for Canberra in the 5th inning.
All for the Cavs.
Yeah, so 7-4 win for Canberra in the last game of the series, and a split series. So it's still, to me, Canberra probably still had the upper hand, even though it was a series split. They still totaled 15 hits in that last game, to show the offense is just, it's too hard to hold down.
It's fair to say that Jack Murphy's added a bit, as we expected he would. I mean, they were fantastic already, but that little bit of extra offense is kind of scary.
It was. And yeah, he's just slotted straight into the middle when you've got these Barnes and Pounds and Monaroa, these guys. It's just ridiculous.
Entertaining series all around though, like 2 really good teams. Brizzy would have been a little bit dark winning the first 2, not going to pick up another game, but they've shown they can hang with the best, haven't they?
Well, they did, and like you say, they did play an entertaining brand of baseball, both teams. There was long balls, as I mentioned, there were bunts, there were walks, there were a few stolen bases, a lot of doubles. it was really good. It would have been a great series to actually be there and see in the flesh.
No doubt, no doubt. And I think with Brizzy, their pitching is looking a little bit better. They've added Jarvis and Teasley. Those guys have been obviously there for a while, but they both had really good games in the weekend.
They did, and the key thing there too is Teasley gave them 5 good innings, and with the bullpen performing the way it is, especially with Ryan Searle at the back end, that's what Dave Nielsen's after. He wants 5 good innings, and then give it to Timms and Green and Searle and the lot.
They've got a lot of good guys at the back of the pen. Both of these teams have obviously been offensive juggernauts so far, and they both were looking for a little bit of extra pitching with their starters. Obviously Kent was ridiculously good, and Grenning was still very good, but a little bit off from what he has been.
A bit more human-like.
Which is like, it's going to happen. So both teams, if they can do okay with their pitching, the rest of the teams in the league better watch out, because they're loaded for bear on offense.
I agree. Yeah, no, really, really good. I mean, at the end of the day, the offense of the Cavs made them what they were, as probably the dominant team. Brisbane would have been happy with that split.
Yeah. No, good, really great series all around.
It was.
And well wrapped, Jenga. Good job.
Thank you, Colin. And Boris, Perth Heat travelled east to take on the Aces this week. How'd you see that series?
Once again, we spoke about last week that it was really important for Melbourne to win at home. Didn't happen.
They're not doing it on the road, they've got to do it somewhere.
Absolutely. Perth Heat won the series 3-1. Thursday's game 1 saw the Heat win 8-1 over the Aces, and T-Rex Daniel Schmidt got the win. He threw 7 really good strong innings, conceded just 6 hits, gave up no earned runs and fanned 2 and walked 2. The Perth offence got to the Aces, started Mike McGillivray very early, and the man this time was Luke Hughes, who was he's awoken from the lumber slumber.
It had to happen eventually.
We talked about it. He came good, hit a couple of hits, 3 RBIs, and Alan Desan and Baltimore Orioles prospect Anthony Coronia both added solo home runs in that game. On to Friday's game 2. There was an epic pitching duel between Perth's Edwin Carl, your man from last week, and Matty Larkin, who's been really good for Melbourne all year. The Heat finally got to Larkin in the 6th, scored a couple of runs. Carl pitched 7 innings with 5 hit shutout ball. He struck out 6. The back end of the bullpen for Perth, Scott Bridgerton was excellent. Finished the job with 2 innings save. Conceded just the 1 hit and struck out 2.
They've been good, both of those guys. Carl, obviously, I mean, we spoke about him a lot last week, but yeah, Mitchinson's really similar to Searle, I guess, with Brisbane. And he's been locking down the back end of games.
He really has. And the thing about Carl, didn't concede a walk, so got ahead of hitters, did a really fantastic job. And Larkin was good through 8 digs, but just gave up a couple of runs. Wasn't good enough to get the chocolates. Saturday's game 3, all Melbourne. And that was our man, Yasuo Sano. Yasuo Sano did it again. He went the distance. 9 innings, complete game. It was an absolute gem.
He has thrown a lot early in the year, hasn't he?
He has. He threw another 115 pitches. So he's
big workload.
He's only 22, so he's only a young fella, but he's been getting a lot of miles in that arm. But he was awesome. Struck out 6, conceded just the 1 run. For the Aces, both Trey and Tanner Vavra had 2 hits each. The Vavra boys getting it done.
Well, we've mentioned their names a lot lately too. That they are really coming on and doing the job.
It's not just jobs for the boys there, mate. They're actually getting it done. Josh Davies and Takanori Hoshi. Trey Vavra also knocked in a run each. So great effort by Melbourne in that game. Sano was just lights out. Gave them the win, and of course they went into the finale hoping to get a split. But
how did it go?
Sunday didn't go that well for them. Perth had a lot of ideas on the split, and even though they Melbourne out hit Perth 11-6, Perth still got over the line. Ex-Victorian Nick Veal was in the hill for Perth, which have made things even a little bit tougher for the local fans to swallow. But he got the chocolates, and there was a 2-run home run from Tim Kennelly.
He's another one that's starting to wake up from the slumber. He's starting
to wake up a little bit, had a slow start, 2-run bomb, and that sealed it for the visitors. Despite a late threat from the Aces, they loaded the bases, I think, in the 9th and maybe the 8th as well. Mitchinson did it again at the back of the pen, shut it down, and got the win. So Perth took the series 3-1.
And just a note on Tim Kennelly too. Notice he's batting out of the leadoff spot.
TK in the 1 hole.
And it did seem to fire him up a little bit. Had a much better series.
I think they're just trying a few things. Obviously the offense has been a bit stagnant in Perth. Trying a couple of things, and it looks like it might
be working.
Have good results. So Django, we've talked about the Heat being early in the season, struggled a bit with their hitting, but the pitching's been good. How do you see them where they are right now?
well, where they are right now, they're at 9 and 7 and only a game back out of second place. So they would have to be happy with that, considering not the usual Perth Heat level of play that they've been at.
Yeah.
To be in that position, it's ominous for the second half if those bats do start firing.
Good on the road too.
Well, 5 and 3 on the road, equal with Canberra, who are league leaders obviously. So they're getting it right there, and I mean, we've said it, the bats are starting to show some signs. Derek Patterson, he had 4 RBIs for the series. Luke Hughes, like you mentioned again, 4 hits, 3 RBIs, and Tim Kennelly,
TK,
just starting to do it. And Tad Gold went 4 for 12.
Tad Gold, our boy, starting to warm up a bit.
He is.
So those guys all, if they can collectively heat up as a hitting team, it spells a bit of trouble for the other teams in the league, doesn't it?
Especially when you got Mitchinson at the end of the games. He's been really good, saving a lot of big games, and 17 Ks in 14 innings now. So he's doing it in a dominant way.
He was like a setup guy last year. You know, obviously they had Marban, who was lights out last year for the Heat, but now he's taken on that role and he's doing a really good job. Yeah,
well, him and the starters too. I mean, Edwin Carl and the like, 2.83 team ERA, so that's leading the league. So the pitchers are getting it done. So as soon as those bats fire up, could be scary. But off to back home and facing the Blue Sox next week.
Yeah, well, this is going to be a tough one for the Blue Sox. Struggled a bit in the shortened series in the weekend, and they're going to find it pretty tough against the Perth Heat.
I think so. And on the flip side, the Aces, where do you see them?
Well, the Aces, I mean, we spoke about it. They really had to get 3, I think, in that series to be looking up. But going down 3-1 at home, they've really struggled at home. The thing is, they're getting runners on base. They're not getting them in.
Yeah.
And that's been what's killed them. Starting pitching's been pretty good. McGillivray had a bit of a shock on the weekend, but he's been good up to then. Larkin and Sano both been very good.
Yeah.
So at the moment, 6 games out of first, 4 and 8 they are at home, and that's not good enough. 4 and 8 at home. You've got to take care of business at home. They're not doing it. They're not capitalising on their base runners, like I said. It's hurting them. They left 13 on base in one game against the Heat on the weekend.
Yeah,
13. It's just too many. Despite it hitting Perth in 3 of the 4 games, they only won 1.
Yeah.
So not happening. They got the wheels though. I've just up the top of the line. They've stolen 21 bases, which leads the league, and they've only been thrown out 4 times.
So it's a great percentage. So
trying to create runs, getting the guys on base, but once they get stranded at third base, they're not knocking them in.
It's just that key hit to get the rally started and get those guys around.
Can't get the hits at the right time, so they're now heading to Canberra.
Doesn't get any easier for them,
does it? Take
on
the league leaders. Something's got to happen. They've got to get it done. If they don't produce something this weekend in Canberra, they could be all said and done.
It is a make or break series for them.
Pretty quickly.
Yeah. And Boris, the last, albeit short, series of the week was Adelaide travelling over to play the Blue Sox. You saw that one as well?
I did. All I saw for the first 3 days was rain. The only real winners from Thursday to Saturday was pretty much the umbrella salesmen and maybe the farmers, because it just rained and rained and rained. Finally got some ball in on Sunday, double header, and it was all Adelaide by.
Yes.
They took both games in the shortened series, and they'll be pretty happy. In game 1, Steve Chambers got the win after the Blight got to Blue Sox starter Alex Bailog.
Which hasn't been easy to do.
No, he's been lights out, but this week the Blight got to him. Wick, Roger, Lodge and Cowan all had hits, and they had them rolling early. Sack fly from Tom Bryce led to one of the most interesting highlights of the weekend. It was a sack fly, run scored, but the play went to third. Jordan Cowan did a bit of MC Hammer work, dodged around Josh Dean,
fancy.
Dived into third base. It looked like he was a fair bit off the line.
Well, he was on the grass, wasn't he, on the inside there?
Almost off the dirt, and umpire caught him safe, and old Blue Sox manager, old Pops, wasn't too happy about it. Came out, tossed the hat, drew the line in the dirt.
That's all. Umpires love that, don't they?
And yeah, the umpire was pretty happy. I think Riley Barrington was the guy that made the call, and things got pretty heated, and it all ended up with Pops going, well, I might just grab that third base out of the ground, pick third base up, and held it into the beer garden.
They're heavy, those bases. You got some good distance with that.
Very heavy. Yeah, as we know, they're quite heavy, but he flung it, I reckon, probably about maybe 25 feet.
And last time I looked on YouTube, it was up over 40,000 views.
It's been everywhere. It's certainly gone viral, but yeah, pretty amazing. Got the crowd fired up, you know, which is always good. But the Blue Sox didn't quite bounce back from that, and the bite rolled. Chambers went 5 innings for the win.
Yep.
And at the back end of the pen, Cody Kursky once again, who's developing into the close guy for the Adelaide
doing
Bite.
very well.
Got it done, and they were lucky enough to have Matt Williams in relief, only being a short series. Threw him in. He got the setup. Kursky came in, lights out as the bite rolled.
Yeah, it's very handy having Matty Williams on that staff because he is so flexible. He can go out there and throw 7 innings, 6 innings as he has a couple of series already this year.
Absolutely.
Or just come in and be the closer, be the setup guy. Very versatile.
Absolutely. Our boy Landon Hernandez, who we interviewed last week, got 3 hits.
Yeah.
So not only have we got Nielsen up and going, we've now got Landon Hernandez up and firing as well.
Well, we'll claim it.
We'll claim it.
Yeah.
Mark Wick seems to be fully recovered from his run with the fence over here, running with the fence. He got a couple of hits and did a great job too, had 2 doubles and scored twice. Into game 2, the late game, the Bite completed the mini sweep with a 4-zip victory. This game was scoreless through 5, pitching duel once again, but the Bite took control with the 2-out single from Kyle Petty, which scored Tom Bryce after Steph Welch hit a single to put him in scoring position. 2 Blue Sox errors in the 7th really cost them dearly. The game went from being 1-zip to blowout to 4-zip, and that was pretty much all she wrote. Nick Talbot came in relief, which was a great effort. Sort of the starter was Dallas Gallant, a new boy.
Yeah, just come in.
Just came in, got through 3s. Obviously, like he's not up to speed to throw enough gigs yet. Just working the arm strength. He did a really good job, and then Nick Talbot cruised through the last 4.
Good to see Talbot getting an extended go too. He's had a quick taste a few years ago. But has been absolutely dominating the local league in SA.
He has.
Winning 3-4 caps medals, the league MVP.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's great to see him having a crack and doing well.
Yeah,
really
he was really good in relief of Gallant. So both of those guys did a good job. Shut out for Sydney. Unbelievable. Wayne Lundgren again. He was very good. A hard luck loser. That seems to be the tag on him every week. He, I think he gave up just 1 earned run, 6 digs, and struck out 6. Ended up on the wrong end of the decision again, and he's now 0-4, despite pitching very well at every outing.
I think he's going to have to organise sacrificing some chickens or something for that lineup when he pitches.
Do you reckon we might go the old KFC bucket?
You might need to. He's got to do something.
Might be the go. So Janga, Adelaide won now 4 on the trot. Must be feeling pretty good about themselves after a really sort of slow start. Bit unlucky, but they were 1-7.
Yes, a stinker of a start.
So how do you see him right now? Looking pretty good.
Well, as I say, Dallas Gallant, he's come across. He's in the country now. Come over from the Texas Rangers organisation. So he'll come in and solidify the starting rotation, hopefully.
Fair to say, Dallas Gallant. Not a bad name either.
It works. Rolls off the tongue, doesn't it?
We've up there, Tad Gold.
We've got some choices.
Wet Lovelace, Derek Lovelace. I think he's joined the queue.
I'll put him in there. That's all right. Adelaide needed one. It was a short series, which, as we mentioned, allowed Stephen Mintz to use Matt Williams in the relief role, which is
a bit more flexible.
It is, and it's just a very good luxury to have to be able to use him in that role. The Bite, they're starting to hit. They certainly haven't been struggling to the same degree that Perth Heat have, but they haven't been at their best. And you look at the lineup now: Rogers up to 297, Bryce at 302, and then the imports: Cowan at 323, Wick 306, Petty is at 393. He's still raking.
Yeah, Petty and Cowan have been really good from the start, but a couple of other guys have joined. I mean, Roger's been pretty good from day one, but like the other guys you say, like Wick, Brycey, Welch, joining the party. So they're hitting from the top and the bottom of the line. And
another good sign for the Bite too is 2 years ago, Rookie of the Year was Ben Lodge.
Lodgy was good on the weekend.
And he's starting to put the ball in play a bit more, stroke it to the right side, which is a really good sign for him that he's coming back into a bit of form, which just makes that lineup even deeper.
He hit the ball hard on the weekend, which would have been a pleasant sight for Adelaide Bite supporters for sure.
But this week, the all-conquering Brisbane Bandits come into town.
Should be a ripper, right here in Nord Oval.
Yes.
Should be a ripper. Yeah, Brizzy obviously flying. Really good test for Adelaide.
Yeah. Blue Sox, where do you see them after the weekend?
Well, that really hurt them. That even though it's a short series, 2-game loss at home, they'd be hurting a little bit. They didn't play well. They didn't need to execute better. A couple of bunts didn't go down. Adelaide executed much better of the 2 teams. That was the difference in the end. They're a little bit sloppy, the Blue Sox. So that's going to hurt them. Offense outside of Hoskins and Dean, we even spoke about last week. They're still struggling to get other guys to be consistently hitting the ball. Westbrook, Strong and Howe, these are the blokes that need to step it up.
We need to have runners on base for Hoskins and Dean when they come up in the middle of the lineup there to get some runs.
Yeah, need to step it up for sure. Lundgren's been fantastic. Like we said before, he just needs some run support. ERA of 2.75 and he's 0-4. Like, that is just unbelievable.
I know, Definitely the hard luck story so far in the league around the place.
The other thing for the Blue Sox is they've got to tidy up the D. A couple of errors. It was a throwing error. A couple of errors late in the game against Adelaide in Game 2 really cost them. Yeah. So they tighten up the D. They're a good team. You know, there's no doubt about it. But
a little bit of polish.
A little bit of polish. Yeah. I mean, I don't know whether the 3 days off hurt them, but they didn't seem switched on.
Yeah, it might have thrown him out a little bit, but you'd think if it was going to throw anyone out, it would have been Adelaide, been travelling and having the different schedule. At least the Sydney guys can go home and get into their routines. But you never know how that's going to mess with guys' minds, I suppose. I think Adelaide went bowling, which probably helped them. You know, knocked a few pins down. Don't know how, but I'll take your word for it. Oh, it gets your focus, mate. Knock a few pins down. A couple of beers. No, it's all good. It's all good. So next up, Blue Sox travel to Perth, so they're going to have to be on their game because the heat are heating up. That's going to be a big test if Perth keep improving like they are. Well, Sydney could be in the same situation as Melbourne. It's time, isn't it? Be playing catch up. Yep, absolutely. Agreed.
Take it from me, one punch can be lethal. Thrown in anger like this, without warning, without any gloves, it can be deadly. One punch can end his life and ruin yours. It takes grunt to throw it, it takes guts to walk away.
Alright, we'll get on to the flamethrowers now, the best pitchers of the weekend, Boris. Who you got?
My boy this week is none other than 22-year-old Yasuo Sano. He was insane on the weekend. Just fantastic. Complete game, 9 digs, 6 Ks, gave up 1 walk only.
Yes. And
he was just lights out and got Melbourne their only win of the series. So he's got to be the guy.
Has to be.
What about yourself?
Well, I was tossing the coin between both Edwin Carl and Steve Kent. I'm going to take Kent. How can you throw 7 innings?
Fitty Kent.
I'll go with Steve. 7 innings, 13 Ks with just 2 hits.
I mean, just an amazing performance, really.
Phenomenal.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's my guy by the not by the length of the straight because Edwin Carl was just behind him, but
he out-Greninged Grenning.
He did. Well, Grenning doesn't even get in the honourable mentions this week, I don't think.
No,
Who you got
probably
there?
Should have been in there, but because he's been in every week, we thought we'd give some other guys a bit of a go.
Like who?
So Daniel Schmidt, another great performance from Big Lefty. He was unbelievable. Also, two guys from Brisbane, stablemates, Jason Jarvis.
Yes.
He was really good, and Rick Teasley.
Yeah.
I threw him in as well.
Well, he like we said before, he got the job done for exactly what his manager wants him to do.
Absolutely.
And Edwin Carl, you got to have him in the mix.
Yeah, the last 2 weeks have been fantastic.
Great. He is 7 innings and only 5 hits again. Yep. He's just not letting guys on base.
He isn't. He's been sensational, and like I say, we said before, he's not walking guys. He's putting in the zone, getting ahead of hitters, making them work for their hits.
And his partner in crime, Scott Mitchinson, at the again.
Scotty at the back of we've got a few closers. We're sort of sorting that back of the pens out now, aren't we?
Yes.
And Scotty's the cream of the. Him and Ryan Searle, the cream of the crop right now, as far as the closers go.
I think so.
And Kursky from Adelaide getting on board.
He's getting into the role, yeah.
Yeah, he's looking good. What about some hot hitters this week, mate? We've talked pitching. Which hitters have you seen lights out with the sticks?
Well, I mean, it's hard to go past someone from the cavalry. It's got to be someone in that lineup.
There's always someone with the hot bat there, isn't there?
But I'm not going to go with the normal guys. I'm going to go with someone that doesn't have the big eye-popping numbers of the others. But Aaron Sayers, he's batting down in the 9 hole, but he's getting on base. He's playing every day. He's batting to a 345 clip.
Yeah, handy.
And out of the 9 hole, when you got those big boppers in the middle of the lineup, that's exactly what you want.
Just keep getting on base.
So on the weekend, he went 6 for 13 on the weekend.
Nice.
So yeah, he's my guy. You?
Fair enough. I'm going to go for Daryl George for the Aces, despite the fact that they only won the 1 game.
Yep.
He's been really good, and on the weekend, once again, 6 for 12.
Yeah.
Hitting 500 for the weekend. Just like the way he goes about it. He's a class player, and I also like the fact he plays with bowling green in the States. I reckon bowling green is really good. And then the hot rods.
They are the hot rods.
How can you not like the hot rods? Fantastic. So Daryl George is my guy.
Yes.
Honourable mentions, Close. Who else you got?
Well, you could mention, again, half the cavalry lineup, but we'll go with Brian Pounds, Jeremy Barnes, and the boss.
The boss, you can probably throw Murphy in there as well. They had a really good series.
Yeah.
But I mean, he's probably getting sick of, being the man for that team. But there's.
I saw all 3 of those guys swing it last week, and we'll put them all in, I reckon.
Yeah. Throw in from the Adelaide bite, Jordan Cowan, just for his light dance moves, getting the base thrown into the beer garden.
Yep.
But he has been hitting really well, and he's been stealing bases.
Yeah, he's
so
he's electric on the base paths.
Great catalyst for that Adelaide Bite team.
Yep.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Oh, what about Mitch Nielsen?
Oh,
A couple of bombs,
couple of long balls.
a couple of Johnsons.
leave
So
you out.
yeah, get Mitch in there, and yeah, he's just been lights out.
I think that covers it.
That'll cover it. Good job. Okay, Close, just want to have a little bit of a chat about the standings now. We've
Yeah.
had 16 games in the bank for most teams, other than obviously Adelaide and Sydney, who only had a 2-game series in
Yeah.
the weekend. How do you see it? It seems to be sort of some of the teams are separating themselves from the rest.
It is. Well, the top two, as much as we said Perth Heat are closing up behind Brisbane, Canberra and Brisbane, Canberra 11 and 5, Brisbane 10 and 6. They have been the top two, clearly
Class
the
of the
top
comp.
two
Yep.
sides so far. Yeah. And both home and away. I mean, Canberra and Brisbane both 6 and 2 at home. Away, Canberra 5 and 3, Brisbane 4 and 4. So they're not going away and coming back salvaging a 1 and 3 series. They are getting it done when they're on the road as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And Perth Heat have been good road warriors. I think 5 and 3 on the road as well. So
Yep.
they're staking their claim, having a couple of good away series that they'll be in good shape as the season progresses.
And keeping definitely within striking distance of those top two teams. So when they do find their form, yeah, it'll be tough again right in the mix.
Absolutely. And of late, the Adelaide Bite, 4 on the trot now.
Yeah, they won their last 2 against Melbourne plus the 2 on the weekend in Sydney.
Gone from dead last to now they've leapfrogged Melbourne and Sydney.
Yeah.
Sydney, of course, have lost 4 on the trot, so
Yeah.
they're heading
Well,
down.
they've gone from a 500 team to 357, I think it is now,
Yeah.
at 5 and 9. So, yeah, they need to turn things around quickly.
Things are like with these teams up the top separating themselves, you can't afford to get too far back. We've got a top 3 playoff
Yep.
contenders, only top 3.
Yes.
So if you're sort of sitting in 6, halfway through the season, you've got too much work to do.
That's right, and it's not like we're playing 80 or 90 games where you've got time to make it up after the All-Star break.
Yeah.
There just isn't that time for them to turn things around, so they're going to have to start doing it soon.
And you normally find in the business end of the season, the strong teams get stronger. They add 1 or 2 things, a little bit here and there with the pitching,
Yeah.
maybe another hitter. So you can't afford to get too far.
Well, that's right. There's always your little tweaking of the lineup, and perfect example last year. Adelaide Bite brought in Virgil to come in and close out the season with him in the rotation. So if you're going to get some guys like him floating around in teams, you want to set yourselves up and not be too far behind when those guys come in.
Agreed. So Melbourne and Sydney, the acid's on them, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, Melbourne are bringing up the rear at 5 and 11, so they've got their work cut out.
They have.
Now, Boris, we've looked at the standings, have a look at a few of the stats from the league leaders and what's happening there among the teams.
Probably enough sample size now to have a little bit of look at the stats and
Yeah.
see where things sit. Obviously, we've spoken about Canberra's offence.
Mm-hmm.
It's just unbelievable. They've knocked in 100 runs already.
16 games.
16 games, 100 runs knocked in, 259 total bases. They lead the league. It's a juggernaut. I think the next closest in total bases is Brizzy. Obviously, they've been hitting it all right. They're 210. So
Well, Canberra 259, then you look at Sydney Blue Sox 130. We're looking at double.
yeah. So you're up
phenomenal.
against it. I think also, obviously, it shows maybe Blacktown, pretty tough place to score runs.
Yeah, true.
Sydney, because they haven't allowed too many home runs and they haven't hit any.
Yeah.
So I think you probably find it's a pretty tough place to hit them.
Yeah.
But yeah, no doubt. Canberra, Brizzy, the offensive juggernauts
Yep.
so far.
And very much those guys are looking at the long balls as opposed to the running game where you look at Melbourne, for example, 21 steals
21
already.
steals you spoke about before and only caught 4 times, around 83%. That's really good going.
It is.
They just need to get them in. What about the home runs? Canberra 23. How many have Sydney got now?
Sydney have just got their third.
Just the tray, so 20 home run difference between those two teams. It is amazing. So when you play Canberra, you want to have your pitchers on their best behaviour, otherwise you're going to be picking some balls out of the C team.
Mm-hmm. And one other thing I noted too is Perth are still sitting third at 9 and 7 with a team batting average of 208.
We spoke about it last week. I mean, it has picked up a little bit, but that's amazing.
Yeah.
To be where they are with the way the hitting's gone. It's look out when they start warming up, and it looks like they're starting to.
For sure.
What about some pitching numbers across the board? We've talked about. You get a funny look in your face. We've talked about some some of the best pitchers in the league. But what about team-wise?
Well, team-wise, Perth. It's their arms that are getting it done.
Yep.
The bats aren't doing it, but yeah, Perth have got a team ERA, we mentioned it earlier, of 2.83. All they need to do is score a couple extra runs a game, and they're looking good.
Yeah. Melbourne, ERA of the team is 4.73.
Mm-hmm.
When you consider they've had Sano, who's been really good,
Yep.
Larkin, who's been really good.
McGillivray's had his moments.
Yeah, that's not too flashy,
No.
is it? It means the rest of the guys aren't picking it up.
Yeah, that's right.
They got some work to do. The whip, which is walks and hits per innings pitch, which is pretty much a control type stat. Who's doing the business there?
Perth again.
Perth again?
1.26, so they're just not letting base runners on.
Yeah.
So if you're not letting base runners on, they're not scoring runs. They're doing very well. Edwin Carl again, as we say, he's allowing hits. He's not walking anybody.
Yeah.
It's the magic formula. That's what you want to do.
1.26, pretty good. I think at the other end of the scale, Sydney, 1.49.
Yeah.
Walking too many guys. You know, too many base on balls, giving up base runners. You're behind from the start.
Yeah.
You can't defend against walks, is what they say, isn't it?
Exactly.
Unbelievable. What about? Here's a stat I like. Who's pinged the most hitters? I can tell you, it's the Melbourne Aces. They've hit 16 blokes.
16, hitting a guy a game.
So don't go digging in when you're playing Melbourne because they don't mind brushing your back.
And then flip side of that, Bandits have hit 4. They like working you down and away.
Yeah, they're nice blokes too.
Yeah.
Brizzy, they don't go pinging blokes.
Nah.
On top of that, what else can we talk about? I guess the home runs conceded. We said before, Sydney haven't conceded many home runs.
Yes.
Might be part of the Blacktown ballpark, keeping balls inside the ballpark.
That's right, yeah.
But also the pitching has been pretty reasonable. So on the flip side, who's given up all the long balls?
Well, it's Brisbane and Melbourne have given up 17 already, so they're averaging over a home run a game. And Canberra, who have hit 23, have given up only 10.
Yeah, so that's probably the thing. We're talking about ballpark factors. But when you've hit 23, giving up only 10, you're doing pretty well.
That just shows the lineup he's getting it done.
Okay, Janga, on to our predictions for this round.
Yeah.
First up, the Sydney Blue Sox at Perth Heat.
Well, we've spoken about Perth, how they looks like they're starting to warm up. Sydney is still struggling, so I'm going to take the home side 3-1.
I think you're dead right. I'm going 3-1 as well for the Heat.
They're just looking good. The bats just starting to come along, and I think Sydney's still got a bit of work to do.
They're tough to beat at home as well.
And you've got to do more than throw bases to win games, I think.
Well, I think Jason Posperhill will probably win the base toss, but apart from that, I think the Perth Heat will win the games.
Give it to them, yeah. Brisbane come down to Adelaide.
Right here,
Cooper Stadium.
Adelaide playing some pretty good ball. Brisbane playing some excellent ball. How do you see it?
I'm going to take a split because having seen Brisbane on the weekend, they're playing some pretty good baseball right now. And as much as Adelaide, I think, are a very good team in this field, I'm going to go the split.
I think you're right again. It's pretty hard to go past that.
You never agree with me.
Oh, well, that's twice in 2 shots. We'll have to mix it up for the last one.
Let's do it.
But yeah, Adelaide playing some really good ball. They'll be tough to beat here, but Brisbane they're rolling, and I think it'll be a split, 2-2.
Yeah, and the final one, Melbourne at Canberra.
Possibly.
Bottom versus top.
Yeah, well, it's Melbourne. Gee, they've really got their work cut out this time. What do you think?
I'm going to go sweep.
Taking the sweep?
Yeah. I figure you won't, so
I'm not taking the sweep. Yeah, you're right. I'm going for Cavalry 3-1 because I'm on the Sano trainer.
It doesn't surprise me at all.
And he's going to get it done again, but it's pretty tough to see Melbourne winning more than just the one, the way Canberra's hitting the ball.
It'd be 1-3 at best, I think, for them.
Yep. So I think Canberra get it done, but yeah, I think Melbourne they'll pinch one.
Okay.
They'll pinch one. They'll get some of those runners in. They'll pinch one.
We'll see next week.
We'll see next week. That's all for this week. Thanks for joining us. Please hit us up on the Facebook page. Get on the Twitter at ABL Hot Corner. Be interactive. Tell us what you think. Tell us what you think about the games, about your favourite team. And if you're obviously thinking about going to the ballpark, get on down there. Some great series this weekend. It's a great night out. Have a couple of sherbets, something to eat, have a hot dog. Enjoy, take the whole family. Get into the ABL baseball. Next week, we'll talk again. Get on. Hopefully, we'll have some big news for you next week as far as what we're going to be doing for the rest of the year. Thanks for joining us. I'm Brooke Kilpatrick. I'm with
Jamie Janga Cloden.
See you next week. Thanks for being with us. Cheers.
See you later.